This is Dear Strategy, episode 102. Welcome to another episode of Dear Strategy. We answer all of your questions about product and business strategy. Real questions from real people in real companies just like yours. Welcome back, strategy creators, to another great episode. This is episode 102. New episode, new year, and yes, a new format. So if you are just joining us after a couple of episodes, we took the month of December off, but we released episode 101 in that month, and we talked about the fact that we are going to be going into a new format. We just reached the 100 episode milestone at the end of November 2019. And that was a good time to regroup and say, what's our strategy going to be for the next 100 episodes and beyond that? And what we decided is that we're going to change things up a little bit. We're still going to stick to our standard format of answering questions on tools and terminology and things that we've been doing for the last 100 episodes. We're going to try and pepper in a few additional types of questions that are more situational, right? So in addition to the tools and terminology, we want people to ask us about, hey, we have this situation. What do you think we should be doing? Or we have this strategy and it's not working, or it is working. And what are your thoughts on that? So we'll be hopefully featuring more of those questions as well. But in addition to that, we have a brand new format that we're going to try and do every other episode that we're going to call Strategy Stories. And strategy stories are basically going to be people sharing their stories and experiences that they're having with companies who are executing their strategies, and ask us to analyze those things. What's going on here? Is this a good strategy, a bad strategy? What do you think they're doing this for? And hopefully we can learn from some of these things and decide what things we want to emulate, what things we want to change in our own companies, and see if this is just a different way to get some education on strategy, the same way we've been doing, but using a slightly different format. So this episode is going to be the first episode that we are going to feature that new format. And so we have one of those strategy story questions coming at you right now. Before I get to it, I do want to say that, a little disclaimer. All the questions that we feature here on Dear Strategy are real questions from real people in real companies, just like we talk about at the beginning of the show. Occasionally, though, we will also feature some questions that we got offline, right? So we do a lot of strategy training and consulting, and we deal with a lot of people in a lot of different companies. And we got a lot of questions. Some of them are official, right? And people write in and say, hey, can you answer this on the show? And some of them are not official. And the ones that are not official, we kind of compile and write questions out, and then we answer them, in a more generic way, I would say. And when we do that, we try and say, hey, this was not written by a specific person, but it was something that we heard and we wanted to answer it. Well, the strategy story format is going to be a lot of that as well, because it's a new format. We don't have a backlog of questions featuring this new format. So we're compiling stories from things that we've experienced, things that we've heard, things that we've seen, things that people have asked us offline, and we're writing questions around that. And we'll continue to do that until we get people actually writing in and sharing their stories more officially. But again, the purpose is education and learning. And so that's what we're going to do. But all the stories are real. All the stories are things that people really have experienced, including the one we're going to feature today, which is actually a story that I experienced. It's one that I heard of. Other people have talked to me about their experiences as well, but I had a specific experience with this one also. So I'm going to share the story in question format, and then we will go ahead and analyze it a little bit, see what's going on. So here it is. Dear Strategy, I recently bought an item online from a fairly large retailer. A week after I bought the item, it went on sale for Black Friday. This particular company has a price matching guarantee, so I called to get an adjustment, but was quickly told that because it was Black Friday, their normal price matching policies didn't apply. After doing some research, it seems like this is not an uncommon practice around this time of year. The question is, why do some companies do this? I get that they want to make as much money as possible, but it hardly seems worth it when some of your customers end up hating you for it. What are your thoughts on this strategy? So again, like I said, this is something that I've had some friends and family experience, and then I experienced it myself. So tried to capture the essence of what the question is. But what we want to do is analyze this. So let's start by just breaking down what's going on here. Those of you who are not located in the US, or if you are located in the US and you don't know what Black Friday is essentially the shopping day after Thanksgiving. So in the US, of course, Thanksgiving falls on a Thursday. Friday, most people are still off from work, and they have nothing to do, so they go shopping. And that actually for retailers signals the official opening of the Christmas shopping season. So, retailers want to pump up their performance as much as they can on Black Friday, because if they have a good Black Friday, that's generally going to put them, quote unquote, in the black for the rest of the season. And that also will signal that their shopping season is going to be good. So it's a good signal to investors and, traders and things like that. So generally, companies try and get as much revenue as they can on that critical Black Friday day. In fact, though, this has become so popular in the US that now Black Friday is kind of dubbed as a week, which is a bit counterintuitive. But essentially, the entire week of Thanksgiving, including that Friday and the weekend after, is considered kind of Black Friday week, right? Because a lot of retailers will put stuff on sale, give a lot of discounts, try and lure people into their stores before they go to other stores. And so that's kind of the idea that's going on here. Well, a lot of these same retailers have price matching or price guarantee policies that apply most any time of year. The idea behind those is if you go in with a competitive ad that has a lower price than the specific retailer is offering it for, most of the retailers will match that price as long as it's, a legit price that's legitimately advertised and so forth. And the reason they do that, obviously, is because they want to take the business away from the competitor, make sure that you don't go to the competitor, so they'll do price matching. And most of those same retailers will also do what they call a price matching guarantee or a price guarantee, which is that if you buy something from them and they put it on sale sometime within the return period, they will also match their own price. So the idea is I buy something, a week later it goes on sale. All I have to do is either bring my receipt back to the store. If I bought it online, just call them up or chat with them and say, hey, you've put this on sale. Can you match the price? And they'll generally refund the difference between what you paid and what the new sale price is. The only caveat to that is that it has to be within the return period, usually. And the reason that occurs is because they know, hey, I could just go down to the store, return the item, and then rebuy it at the sale price. So why not make it easy on my customers and just refund the difference? And that's what most companies will do. Okay, so that's the situation that we're dealing with. That's what's going on. In this particular question, what's happening is that many retailers, online and otherwise, will actually lift those price matching policies temporarily during that Black Friday week. And the reason they do that is because they don't want to match extremely low prices or even their own extremely low prices. So they say, hey, price matching doesn't apply during this week. If you bought it for a higher price, too bad. Or if you see it for a lower price, too bad. So that's the essence of what happened here. Now, again, I've heard this situation a number of different times, and it happened to me. And in my case, I'll give you a little bit more specifics. In my case, what happened was I bought an item about a week before Black Friday, just like is stated in the question. I bought the product online from a retailer who has both an online and a big box physical presence. And I saw that the item went on sale online about a week after I bought it, which was right in the Black Friday period. So I called up to try and get a price match, and it was a pretty significant discount. I called up to get a price match, and they told me, no, price matching doesn't apply because Black Friday week. And I said, but it's your own price, right? Like that just screams of, well, too bad, so sad. You're an existing customer. It's within the return period, but we don't really care, right? Because you just timed it wrong. And boy, that just burned me, right? It burned me. However, it's in their fine print, which of course I'm not going to read before I make a purchase, but okay, it's there, it's legal, nothing I could do about it, but it's just, to me, a crummy way to treat a customer. Well, my story goes on because they said, well, if you want to take advantage of the lower price, what you can do is take your item back to the store and return it and then rebuy it for the lower price. And I said, well, wait a minute. I would almost have rathered that you said I can't do it at all, right? Because then I'll be mad. But this is just ridiculous, because what you're saying is that you will, in fact, end up effectively matching the lower price, but you want me to go through as much pain as possible to get access to that lower price, go down to Black Friday, stand online in a store that I didn't even buy the item in on the worst shopping day of the year, and physically return the item, never have it leave my hands, and rebuy it for a lower price. Like, that just seems so ridiculous when you could just refund me the difference on the phone. And so that was the situation that I had. I ended up doing this, right? And I have to tell you that, I don't want to do business with this company again because I just don't understand the way that I was treated. So, all of that said, the situation that's going on and the question, I guess, is this a good strategy? I mean, why do they do this and is it a good strategy? Well, I think the reason they do it is fairly clear, right? Like I said before, companies want to pump up their sales volume, pump up their revenues, pump up their profitability during that critical period. So they want to give back as little money as they can. So if I already bought from this company, well, they already have my money. What they're trying to do is lure in new customers and not existing customers and new ones, right? Lure in new business and make that business look as good as possible. So it's really about short-term gains, pump up that critical sales volume period. And I would say that if the strategy was only to do that, right? There was no long-term strategy for the company. All they cared about was that short-term, 4, 5, 6 week gain. I would say that mission accomplished and probably they took the right approach. The problem is that almost every company that I deal with, large and small, they don't just have a 6-week strategy or 4 or 5 week strategy, whatever it is. They have long-term strategies. And every single company, I will say that I've never seen a company that doesn't have this. Every company that I've worked with that has a long-term strategy says that they want to have profitable growth and they're going to achieve that profitable growth by, in some form, fashion, or way, satisfying customer needs, right? Looking for what customers want and treating them the best that they possibly can treat them. Customer first, customer service, customer. We've all seen this, right? We've all heard it. The problem is that if your short-term goal runs counter to that, then the whole long-term customer thing is lip service. And that's the problem that I have here. These companies that are doing this for Black Friday, I get it. They're trying to get short-term sales gains, and they're probably achieving that. But it's definitely going to run counter to a long-term strategy of meeting customer needs, taking care of your customer base, taking care of what customers want. And I guarantee you, no customer wants to be treated the way that I was treated. None. So it doesn't make any sense from a long-term standpoint. So this kind of goes towards two things. First thing is taking care of your existing customer base, right? If you care about your business growing, you need to make sure that those loyal customers that are coming to you, not just on the sale days, but on any day of the year, that you pay attention to them. You take care of them. You treat them in a special way. And I'm not going to just blame big box retailers or things like that on this particular problem, because I see small businesses do this as well. They have companies, especially in the business to business space, right? They have companies, they do, really good business with these companies. Those companies are willing to pay good money for that extra service. But when they want to go and grow their business, they go and discount that business with other new customers without any regard for the fact that the existing customers are paying significantly higher prices. There's a problem there, right? I mean, if you're going to have customers that are paying high prices, you have to give them a different value, right? Give them a different service, give them a different level of service. But you can't just treat all customers equally, but say, well, you're going to get a lower price because I want to grow my business at that time. Like that, to me, is not a good long-term strategy. So I really caution companies against doing this. When customers are loyal to their existing customers, take care of them. And I'll give you one other story on this that I had around this same time. In my small business, I have software that I use, and one of the software packages that I use, I bought last year. It was not on sale, nothing like that, but it was a piece of software that I enjoy. I like everything else, and my subscription was coming due right around the Black Friday period. And this company decided to run a promotion around Black Friday for new customers, and they were offering literally a 20% discount on their subscriptions. And it said right there, not even fine print, this was right in the bold print, only applies to new customers. And I said, wait a minute, like this is crazy. I'm a loyal customer. I've been using your software package for a year. I'm the one that will probably recommend your company. I'm the one that's going to stick with your company. I'm the one that's going to be there long-term. And you're saying to me that you're offering a lower price to somebody new, same exact service, same exact product, but because of the timing, I don't get to take advantage of it. And boy, I just, again, burned me, right? So the first reaction I had was, well, I'm going to go and look for another piece of software. Like, why should I stick around for a company that's offering lower prices to somebody else and not taking care of their loyal customers? In this particular case, I did write to them. I said, hey, this is the situation. It's not fair. And they right away, no questions asked, refunded me the difference. But it's too bad that I had to go through that. And I think about all the other customers that didn't think to do that because it said right there that they couldn't. It's just not a good way to go, in my opinion, not a good way to go. The second problem has to do with what I was talking about before, which is if you have a long-term strategy, you want to grow your business by taking care of customers, meeting their unmet needs, all of these different things, be really careful that your short-term strategies align with that. Because the fact of the matter is you're never going to grow your business if your existing base leaves you. And that's just the way it is. I see a lot of companies, they go out of business. They, been long-standing companies that have, been in business for a long time, and they blame things like technology and, new way of doing things and online business and all these other things that were out of their control. The fact of the matter is, look at yourself, right? Because a lot of these companies, the reason they're going out of business is because they're not paying attention to the long game. They're not paying attention to what customers really care about in the long term, whether that's customer service or something else. But when these companies actually fail, it's because they're paying attention to the short game and not looking at the long game, and they have no one to blame but themselves. So those are the two messages that I want to take away from this story. Again, not naming specific companies, not trying to rip on specific things, but just saying, if you have a long-term strategy to take care of your customers, make sure you do that. And think about your loyal customers, because those are the ones that are going to keep your business thriving and growing over the long term. So that's a strategy story. Hopefully that answer is helpful, and hopefully you understand how these stories work. As you see, the format's a little bit longer than the old one, but hopefully it gives you also some new information that you didn't have before. So if you have a story that you want to share on the show or have analyzed or so forth, or a standard question like we've always been answering, go ahead and write to us. You can go to dearstrategy.net, click on the contact link at the top right of the page, and you will be taken to a contact form where you could ask a question, share a story, and again, we will feature it on the show as long as it's not too repetitive or whatever else. As you saw, we're not naming specific companies, so you should avoid doing that as well. But even if you put the company name in there, we're not going to say that on the show. Again, this is about education, not about ripping on one specific company or the other. So please go ahead and do that. Also, don't forget to visit the sponsor of the show, the company that I work for and founded, Strategy Generation Company. We offer tools and training and consulting and coaching in this area of strategy and strategy generation. So go check out what we have to offer at strategygeneration.com. If you're interested in working with us, please go ahead and drop us a line there as well. And last thing I'm going to ask is make sure that if you're not a subscriber to the show, go out and subscribe to us. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues. If you think this is added value, spread the word, because we'd love to have more listeners and more people in our strategy creator community. While you're doing all that, don't forget to make time for the plan. We'll see you back here on another episode of Dear Strategy. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for listening to Dear Strategy with Bob Caparelli. To learn more or to submit a question to be featured on our show, please visit us at dearstrategy.net.